Hi guys, welcome back to the mushroom market. I hope you've all been doing really well. So I just wanted to jump on here quickly this morning and share with you guys some fundraiser junk journal packs that I've spent the past couple of weeks making up. Now, as you guys know, we've been badly affected by bushfires here in Australia, and I really wanted to do something to help. So I've created these packs so that we could raise the funds to donate towards our beautiful wildlife. And I've been looking at smaller organisations because there's a lot of larger ones that are well known that are getting a lot of funds, and I just wanted to focus on donating to a smaller organisation that's helping our wildlife. So I have made up 30 of these sort of junk journal packs. And all profits from these will go to the organisation that I've chosen. So the organisation that I've chosen is called, let me just get the name of it, the Wildlife Rescue Sunshine Coast. And these guys here are currently organising a food drop, and that's for all the starving animals that have survived the bushfires because all their habitat's been destroyed. So we've got a lot of organisations who are helping our injured wildlife, but because all the habitat's been destroyed, the survivors out there have nothing to eat. So some organisations are organising food drops of pellets and vegetables and things like that. So I wanted to get behind this organisation to help the survivors out there until sort of vegetation can grow back and things like that. So I will take you through all of these packs, not all of them, I'll take you through one. So I'll just pop these aside. So they come in these large sort of A4 clear pockets. So I'll pop a couple of them aside. So like I said, I have 30 of them available. They are actually already up over on my Etsy shop. Because I was sort of having trouble filming. I tried to film these packs yesterday, but I was just having a terrible time trying to film. I couldn't get my words out and things like that, so I just popped them up anyway. So I think around about 6 or 7 have already sold, so there's still quite a few available over on my Etsy shop if you want to go check it out. So I'll pull everything out of this pack here so you guys can see. So we've sort of got a mixture of things in these packs, so papers and just fun bits and pieces for you to use in your junk journals, and I've kept them to a size where I can put them, I can post them as a large letter, so they will get sent in sort of a large A4 sized mailer envelope, and there will not be any sort of rigid, normally what I do with these sort of things is I'll put like a rigid piece of cardboard to keep things flat, but because that's going to add to the weight, it'll push the price right up out of sort of an envelope range, if you know what I mean. So I'm not going to put one of those in this time. So we'll go through the papers here. These are just mixed papers. I'll just start at the back here. And the first lot of papers I've got here are actually my own hand-dyed papers. So a few weeks ago I began experimenting with vegetable dyes, actually probably longer than a few weeks ago, and I've created a lot of sort of papers, so I've put them in these packs. So the first ones here, these are a lovely pink. I hope you guys can see. I know the lighting is not so good and it's pretty glary. This is a lovely shade of pink, and it's got a few bits of marking. So this is from beetroot dye, and you get 2 of those, and then this beautiful golden paper is from sort of yellow onion skins. And actually that one's ripped, so did not realise. I'm going to pop that one aside and replace it with another one. But this beautiful sort of goldeny colour here, and lovely markings and things on all of them. So that's the yellow onion skin. And then here we've got a purple cabbage, yeah. So I grabbed a purple cabbage and I boiled it down, and it gave me this beautiful purple dye, but the papers actually turned out sort of a bluish tone. So that is them, and they're just lovely. Lots of different markings on them once again. So those are my natural hand-dyed pages, and they're just 80 GSM copy paper. So we'll pop those ones aside, and I'll just grab the rest over here. Then just a couple of other sheets. They're all mixed sort of pages. This is a blue ledger and a blue lined. paper. Try and get through this as quickly as possible. Here we've got a sheet of atlas sort of page. This is a vintage gardening page. Some of them have images, some of them don't. This one's from the Better Homes and Gardens, New Garden book I think it's called. So I think it's from the 50s. And there is some music book page. It's quite large, so it's folded over. Edith Holden. This is just the written Edith Holden, so no illustrations on these ones, but they're also really fun to use. Then there is this sort of modern page, which is a Victorian style, and a lot of these are different actually. They're from a couple of different books, so but they're both sort of Victorian style, so you might get one that has this beautiful Victorian sort of illustration, or this one here which is Victorian as well. So there's that one, and then we have this beautiful bird sort of illustration. It's double-sided, so you get birds on both sides. We've got a vintage sewing book page, some vintage lined book page, so it's just all folded like so. This one's one of my favourite pieces of paper to use in my own journals. Then we've got this beautiful piece of ledger here. Now this ledger I actually got when I was up in the Glasshouse Mountains in Montville, and I found it in an op shop, and it's a beautiful sort of horse ledger. So I have kept it sort of folded out, so I was going to cut it down and just do one piece, but then I thought no, I'll leave it attached, and it's very large, so I've had to fold it and then fold it again. So it just says Horse Yard Book, and it's got colour and description, names and numbers and things like that. I'll hold it up a little bit closer so you can see, and both sides are the same, so that's a beautiful piece of ledger there. And then also when I was up that way I popped into another op shop. It was in Nambour, and I got these awesome Australian home journals. So I pulled a piece of paper out of the home journals. Each one has different illustrations. It might have ladies or babies, or in this case this one here is little girls, but they're all coloured illustrations. So I sort of left the black and white ones out, even though they're beautiful in their own right, but I just love these colourful ones. I think they're so beautiful. If you wanted to cut the images out, or you know, if you wanted, you could even scan this for yourself and reuse it over and over again, and it's just beautiful. This one's double-sided, that way you could get both sides if you scanned it, so that is just so beautiful. They're from the 50s or the early 60s, so there's that page. And then just this little recipe, sort of I don't know, it kind of flipped up, and it had each day of the week with a new recipe. So banana pudding, fig syrup pudding, so really interesting. Chocolate peaches cream pie, Old English pudding. So that's an interesting piece that I thought I'd pop in there. And then just this German book page here, which I think I've told you guys is from the early 1900s, and I jumped into a dumpster in the Netherlands to grab it, so it has a story behind it, that one. And then this beautiful vintage bird sort of book page. I think these trying to think, I think they were birds from Victoria or something like that. And then a lovely sort of floral illustration. I think this is more modern. So that's all of the mixed sort of book pages that you get. And then just a couple of other pieces here. This one here is just a packet of sort of offcuts of wallpaper. I've just sort of thrown in, I didn't really count, I just sort of threw in bits of wallpaper that I thought were fun to use in your embellishments, or to use as tabs and things like that. So they're just cut with scissors, they're not cut perfectly at all, they're just to have fun with, you know. So lots of little offcuts here of my own personal wallpaper, or wallpaper that I've got in Happy Mail. That one's very retro, so yeah, lots of little pieces that you can just play around with yourself, and yeah, just lovely bits and pieces there. So I'll just pop those aside, and each one's different. You might get different pieces of wallpaper in it. Like I hope you can see here, there's some different wallpapers and things. So each packet of the little wallpaper offcuts is different. So I'll just pop that one to the side, and then I'll just take you through this packet here. Now this is just a packet of mixed goodies that go along, you know, fun things to include in your junk journals and things like that. So open that up quickly. I didn't want to overdo it too much because I didn't want to wait to push the postage up anymore, so that's why I've sort of kept it with just these sort of few items. So I'll just have a look at the back here and see what we've got. So first up, we've got a piece of my handmade paper. It's a pinkish, dark pink handmade paper. This one's embossed with sort of a beautiful writing on it. I hope you can see that okay. The lighting's not so good here today because we had a huge downpour of rain last night, which was absolutely amazing, but it did flood our backyard. Got some stationery here, so you'll get a matching piece of stationery and envelope. These might be different as well. Then we've got a beautiful sort of greeting card. It's blank on the inside. This one's at Renoir or Monet maybe, but beautiful painted image on it, and each one of these cards is different as well. There's a couple of little tags here. This really interesting sort of a, is it like a, it says a phonogram, I guess how you pronounce words and things like that. So I actually got this from Rachel, so they're really fun to play around with. Then just this awesome sort of gardening index card. This is a more modern one, but over here I've got a vintage one, and it's got writing on the back, and then American apple cake. So this is a vintage sort of cooking card, and each one of those is different. And then we have some sort of game score sheets here. So these are all bridge ones, so there are 3 different ones. Royal Flying Doctor Service of Australia on that one there. And what else do we have? We've got a vintage photograph. Each one of these is different as well, so as you can see, there's a lovely vintage one there, or this lovely lady here. So each photograph is completely different. I love this one. I think this is actually, yeah, it's a postcard, but it was in with the photograph, so it's actually from Paris, I think. So this sweet little girl, she's so gorgeous. And then we've got a couple of vintage playing cards here, just like floral types. And this one here I got from Nambour as well, up in the op shops up there. So it's got this awesome green floral card. And this is like a vintage flash card, and it's the same size as a playing card. So I thought that was really interesting because it's smaller. One side's red and one side is blue. And then a more modern day sort of flash card here. We've got 3 vintage sort of bus tickets. These are brown, I think it's bus or tram. And then a bridge scorer here. I think you guys have seen that one before in my packs. There's a couple of floral stickers. We've got one of my handmade tags. This is like a blue teal colour, and I've embossed it, so beautiful handmade paper. A vintage sort of, what are these called? Cigarette cards or cereal. They come out of cereal boxes, I think. But this one here came from Shell, which is the petrol station. So that's a moth, I think. But you either get moths, butterflies, or botanicals, or maybe another little animal. So they're all different. And then a vintage slide here, which is just lovely. These are from Hong Kong. And then the last thing I've put together here is this tiny little bag. And you guys know I've been into slow stitching a lot lately. It's just, I really enjoy it. So I decided to put together a little tiny little baggie full of things. There's a couple of little pieces of fabric at the back. I think about maybe 3 or 4 pieces of fabric, and then some bits of lace different types of lace, little rosettes. You can see there, I'll try and hold it up a little bit. There's buttons and little seed beads, normal size beads, and what are these things called? Sequins or flower sequins, and some embroidery floss. So you can make up your own little slow stitch piece for an embellishment if you want. So that is everything that is in that bag. And yeah, that's everything that's included in these fundraiser packs. So they are available right now over on my Etsy shop if you would like to purchase. I've tried to keep the prices very reasonable, so the prices for these, got it written down over here, is $18 AUD, which is around about, just approximate because Google's not accurate, 12 to 13 USD around about, and around 11 to 12 euro. And then I will post them in a large size envelope, which what's the cost for that? It's around about $5 Australian, or about $13 AUD international, 13-15 AUD, so I don't know what that translates to, but that is the cost for these packs. And yeah, all profits for these will be going to the Sunshine Coast Wildlife Rescue. And yeah, thank you so much to everyone who has already jumped on over to purchase one and to help support our beautiful wildlife. We've already lost over 1 billion animals due to the bushfires, and I think that's probably rising. And we've already, I think they have said there's possibility of a lot of flora and fauna gone extinct because of it. So I really wanted to do something to help, and so that's why I decided to put these packs together. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to anyone who decides to jump on over and purchase one, and know that all your money that you go to purchasing one of these will be going on to help our beautiful wildlife here in Australia. So thank you so much, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll chat to you in my next video. Bye guys.